Nothing amiss. Gazing downwards, they spot a hairless gentleman sprawled on the floor, bewildered by the scene. They proceed down the steps, arriving at the lockers where pupils store their footwear. There they encounter numerous individuals prostrate on the ground. Both become intensely apprehensive about the unfolding events. Sophie retrieves her mobile device from her pocket, desperate to take action. She dials the authorities. However, the educator explains that the police have already been contacted and that she has returned to the classroom. Yet, someone answers the summons. Sophie recognizes the voice and inquires if it's her paternal figure. He responds, questioning why his offspring is calling at this hour. She explains the incident at the educational institution, emphasizing the absence of law enforcement. She reveals that some thugs have infiltrated the school, which instantly fills her father with anxiety. Without hesitation, he replies, "Daddy's coming." Agitated, the teacher urges them to return to class quickly. At that very moment, several individuals breach the school entrance. Sophie observes the appearance of these men. One of them, affiliated with the Sunshine Syndicate, spots her as well. They advance towards the two terrified girls. The teacher inquires about his identity. Disoriented, the man remains silent. He crouches beside a body, searching for a pulse. Abruptly, he throws open his jacket, displaying an array of medical instruments concealed within. Producing a scalpel, he declares that the individual is still alive. Overwhelmed with fear, Sophie can only focus on her boss, Seth. Meanwhile, outside the school grounds, the Sunshine Syndicate's underlings are establishing a secure perimeter. Kong and his adversary confront each other. All their fellow combatants observe with rapt attention. From a distance, the mafia boss bellows KO's name, startling the partially bald man, who abruptly pivots. The commander directs him to obliterate the boy. KO commences withdrawing something from his jacket pocket. It's a dagger he unequivocally intends to wield in the impending confrontation. Observing his adversary armed with a blade, Seth becomes enraged. This also captures the attention of his mother, but she remains taciturn, merely observing. KO begins rotating the dagger in his hand. With a maniacal grin, he proposes they commence. Bob arrives at the scene later to confer with his superior. Relinquishing his peculiar weapon, Seth appears exceptionally enthusiastic, but Seth exclaims that he won't require that sort of instrument. On the rooftop, the Chinese gang member inquires of his brother what their course of action should be. The brother retorts that for today, it possesses no possibility of accomplishing anything. Observing the brawl below, they both contemplate the Sunshine Group's dominance. Both combatants, Seth and KO, are poised and eager. They brace for a head-on confrontation. Steph is defenseless while his adversary brandishes a dagger. Moments later, at the school's assembly, the principal addresses the entire student population. He extends a welcome to the new pupils of Yonjin Public Athletic School. Continuing his oration, he voices his hope for their seamless integration. Throughout their tenure at the institution, within the school walls, students engage in lively chatter. One student is engrossed in something on his phone. Beckoning his companions, he inquires if they've seen this. One of them questions what he's referring to. The boy responds that it's the legendary school recording. The footage depicts the altercation between the protagonist and the partially bald individual. Seth connects a punch to his opponent's face, but simultaneously sustains a gash from the dagger. Observing the brawl, one student declares it a fabrication, suspecting Seth of feigning injury. Another student contends that it's unequivocally authentic, denouncing the first as a fool. More students rapidly join the conversation, fiercely debating whether it was truly 200 against 1. A sudden time skip is revealed, as one student recalls an event from 2 years prior. He claims that Safe was once the school's leader, confronting the notorious Japanese gang. Another student expresses skepticism, but the phone-wielding boy vehemently insists on the story's authenticity. Abruptly, someone enters the classroom, drawing the attention of everyone present. The bald newcomer introduces himself as J.K. Lee, the former head of the school, and criticizes the students for believing fabricated videos. However, another individual approaches, politely requesting passage. Annoyed, the bald man questions the interruption. The boy reiterates his simple request, calmly asking the bald man to move. Easily provoked, the bald man issues a threat. He aggressively challenges the boy, implying a death wish. Yet, the boy remains stoic, offering no response. Another individual enters the scene. It's a young woman with cropped hair, bearing a striking resemblance to Sophie, yet with subtle distinctions. She commands the hairless man to depart immediately. Both the lad and the bald individual are startled by the girl's arrival. Infuriated, the hairless man erupts in a torrent of profanity, demanding to know who she believes herself to be, issuing such directives. He readies himself for a swift strike. She seizes her armament while her comrade braces for combat as well. She slams her weapon into the hairless man's shoulder, while her companion lunges forward, delivering a forceful blow to his face. In unison, they execute a flawless combination, leaving the aggressor dazed and apprehensive. Meanwhile, one of the pupils continues to observe the recording from 2 years prior. In the video, Kim also emerges. He had aided the protagonist on that occasion as well. The footage clearly reveals the extent of Kim's transformation during this period. His visage has dramatically altered, his hair now closely cropped. Judging from the numerals on his attire, it seems he's endured a stint in confinement. However, today marks his liberation. Exhaling with relief at his newfound freedom, he observes a vehicle awaiting his arrival. It's his associate Bob, the chauffeur, grinning genially. Bob playfully chides him, calling him a scoundrel, and beckons him closer. Kim advances towards the automobile, prepared to depart. As the rear door swings open, Kim is stunned by the occupant. It's the protagonist, now considerably aged. Bowing deferentially, Kim's underling exclaims, "The chief truly graced us with his presence." The protagonist responds that he arrived to retrieve his cherished companion, and expresses gratitude for his unwavering loyalty. Kim dismisses it as trivial, reciprocating the boss's gratitude. The protagonist inquires if Kim still aspires to attend school. Back at Youngin's school, strolling towards the entrance, the protagonist remarks, "So this is the establishment." He ventures inside, observing that the school seems lively. Meanwhile, in a remote locale, a tiny avian creature flitted through the dense woodland, winging its way towards a dojo nestled high on the mountainside. Inside the training hall, an elderly sensei knelt, clutching orbs in his weathered hands. Abruptly, he bellowed for Jean, who slumbered in an upright position. His name echoed repeatedly, finally piercing the veil of sleep. Jean jolted awake, but the aged master, already on his fourth exasperated shout, at last captured the young man's attention. Jean shuffled towards the venerable sensei, anticipating guidance. However, mere seconds later, Jean succumbed to slumber once more, this time standing. In that instant, the sensei surged to his feet and whacked Jean upon the head with a wooden staff. "You rapscallion," he roared, Jean reeling from the unexpected blow. Jean, dazed, inquired why he had been struck. "Because I am famished," the elder retorted. He continued to berate Jean, raising his staff once more in a threatening gesture. Bewildered, Jean remained baffled by the seemingly arbitrary punishment. Having already completed his wood-chopping and water-fetching duties, he crossed his arms defiantly. Jean inquired why he was being reprimanded when all his tasks were finished. The old man fell silent, but fixed him with a menacing glare. Turning his back, the sensei instructed Jean to gather his belongings. A startled Jean questioned his meaning. The old man reiterated his command to pack his possessions immediately. Still bewildered, Jean inquired if he was being expelled. The sensei responded with a question of his own, inquiring when Jean had completed middle school. Calculating on his fingers, Jean estimated it had been approximately 2 years prior. The sensei declared that Jean should at least endeavor to finish high school. This revelation left Jean utterly dumbfounded. He requested clarification, and the sensei elaborated that not only should Jean undertake the examination to advance in high school, but he should also enroll in school. Jean, now rendered speechless, remained silent. Sometime later, Jean journeyed to the city, where he was captivated by the urban architecture. Humming a tune as he strolls along, he journeys towards his new academy. He's immediately captivated by its impressive facade. Upon entering, he observes posters advertising the National Boxing Tournament, showcasing Victor, alongside advertisements for the American Martial Arts League. Originating from the Czech Republic, the group navigates the hallways, and he proceeds towards classroom number 5. Inside, a gentleman is inscribing on the chalkboard, presenting himself as the new instructor. "My name is George Wu, and it's a delight to make your acquaintance," he declares. He elaborates, explaining that, as many are aware, the institution has transitioned into an athletic academy. He's been informed that there are several aspiring competitors within the class, and requests these pupils to indicate their interest. The 3 prominent students in the class comply. George acknowledges the significance of athletics, but cautions them to maintain their academic focus. At that moment, the lad from earlier emerges at the entrance, intrigued by the unfolding events. The educator glances at the new arrival and inquires, "Was there a mix-up?" The boy clarifies, "I believe this is my assigned classroom." Astonished, the teacher recognizes him as the new transfer student. "It's your first day?" The boy affirms, "As a transfer, yes. This is my very first time in a school setting." He remembers his father's advice, instructing him to always show respect to his educators. This is no ordinary day. It's a momentous occasion. George, the teacher, approaches him. "Let's just confirm everything. Have a seat in that vacant desk." The boy readily obeys. Observing the room, he's captivated by the novelty of it all. "My name is Gene," he introduces himself, "and I've never been to school before." The class erupts in astonishment. "Never?" someone inquires. Gene nods. "I tested out of middle school," he explains. Intrigued by this, the student's curiosity piqued. Observing their smiles, he clutched a paper with a message inscribed upon it. Glancing around to confirm his bearings, he proceeded towards a two-story dwelling. Certain of his destination, he pressed the doorbell. The intercom granted him entry. The portal unlatched, and he stepped within. He espied a woman, the protagonist's matriarch, who beamed and declared, "You've arrived." The man was overjoyed to behold his sibling. She quipped that, after all, he hadn't become disoriented, arms folded. He retorted that while he might have originated from the woods, he wasn't dim-witted. His sister chuckled, commending his successful arrival. She ushered him inside. As he shed his footwear, they serenely ascended the staircase. Inquisitively, she inquired about his school day. He replied that it was enjoyable. Astonished, she exclaimed, "That's splendid." When they attained the second story, she unsealed the entrance to a chamber. She informs him that this will now be his chamber. Jin is astonished by the quarters his sister has provided. She clarifies that it was formerly her son's room, although he currently resides elsewhere. However, he attends the same educational institution. This information perplexes Jean. As she departs, she assures him he will encounter her son shortly. Smiling warmly, she suggests he organize his belongings and accompany her further into the dwelling. There's a corridor leading to a subterranean area resembling a clandestine vault. As they descend, the passage is quite dim, so she utilizes a candle for illumination. Upon reaching the base of the staircase, she requests him to remain. She ignites supplementary candles to better brighten the space. Observing the chamber clearly,